Have you ever wondered about the man behind the notorious persona of Al Capone? Well, today we're pulling back the curtain to reveal the enigmatic figure known as Scarface, the man who dominated the Chicago underworld during the Roaring Twenties. Born in 1899 to Italian immigrant parents, Alphonse Capone was one of 9 children. His journey from a Brooklyn tenement to the pinnacle of Chicago's organized crime scene is a tale filled with intrigue, power, and high-stakes gambles. It's a story that has been told and retold, often focusing on the violent exploits and flamboyant lifestyle that made headlines. But today we're peeling back the layers of hype and sensationalism to reveal the lesser-known aspects of Capone's life. This is not the story of Capone the gangster, but Capone the man. We'll explore unexpected facets of his character, like his love for music and his surprising business acumen. We'll also debunk some of the most persistent myths about Capone, shedding new light on this complex figure. Our journey will take us from Capone's early years in Brooklyn, through his meteoric rise to power, his reign as an untouchable mob boss, and his eventual downfall. We'll examine his life after prison and the legacy he left behind, a legacy that continues to captivate and confound us to this day. In uncovering these hidden chapters, we aim to present a more nuanced picture of Al Capone. This is not an attempt to justify his actions or downplay the violence that marked his reign. Rather, we're looking to deepen our understanding of a man whose life and actions have had a lasting impact on American culture and history. So if you're ready to explore the man behind the legend, the man who was more than just a ruthless gangster, then you're in the right place. Buckle up, because we're about to embark on a fascinating journey into the world of Al Capone. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the life of one of the most infamous gangsters in American history. Born in 1899, Al Capone's life was anything but ordinary from the start. Growing up in Brooklyn, New York, Capone was one of 9 children in an Italian immigrant family. While his parents worked tirelessly to provide a humble life, the allure of street life soon beckoned young Capone. From an early age, it was clear that Al Capone was not meant for the mundane. School did not hold his interest, and by the age of 14 he had dropped out. His charisma and street-smart instincts led him to Johnny Torrio, a notorious gangster and a man who would become Capone's mentor. Under Torrio's wing, Capone was introduced to the world of organized crime. It was a realm where power was won through fear and respect, and Capone, with his natural leadership and fierce determination, was a perfect fit. His early years in Brooklyn's underbelly were just the beginning. Capone's early life set the stage for the infamous career that was yet to come. Capone's ascent to power was swift and ruthless. His path to the top was paved with ambition, audacity, and an unflinching readiness to resort to violence. Capone cut his teeth in the underworld of Brooklyn, New York, but it was in the Windy City, Chicago, where he truly came into his own. Joining the Chicago outfit, a notorious organized crime syndicate, Capone found a platform for his ambition. Under the tutelage of Johnny Torrio, a respected gangster and the outfit's boss, Capone learned the ropes of organized crime. Torrio's influence was instrumental in Capone's development, teaching him the importance of maintaining a balance between violence and diplomacy. Yet, Capone was not one to remain in someone else's shadow for long. In 1925, an attempt on Torrio's life led him to retire, leaving the reins of the outfit to Capone. This unexpected departure presented Capone with an opportunity he seized with both hands. With Torrio out of the picture, Capone took over as boss, marking the beginning of a new era for the Chicago outfit. His rise to power was marked by ruthless tactics. Capone was not one to shy away from violence when it served his purposes. He used intimidation, corruption, and murder as tools to keep his enemies in check and his allies in line. His reputation as a ruthless leader grew, and so did his influence. Capone's takeover as boss was not without challenges. Rival gangs, law enforcement, and even his own men tested his leadership. Yet Capone navigated these challenges with a blend of brute force and cunning strategy, consolidating his power and expanding the outfit's operations. Under his rule, the Chicago outfit reached new heights of power and infamy. Capone's leadership transformed it into a multi-million-dollar empire dealing in illegal liquor, gambling, and prostitution. His reign was marked not just by brutality, but also by extravagance. With power in his hands, Capone's reign was marked by brutality and extravagance. His rise to power was a testament to his audacity and ruthlessness, setting the stage for a reign that would forever leave its mark on the annals of crime history. At the height of his power, Capone seemed untouchable. His reign as mob boss saw Chicago's underworld bow to his command, with his influence seeping into every dark corner. Capone was not just a man, but a symbol of power and fear, a force to be reckoned with. One event that marked his reign was the infamous St. Valentine's Day massacre. In 1929, on a cold February morning, 7 members of Chicago's North Side gang were lined up against a wall and gunned down. The brutality of the act shocked the nation, and though Capone was never officially linked, it was widely believed he was the mastermind behind it. Capone was not just feared, he was also admired. To the public, he was a modern-day Robin Hood, a gangster with a heart of gold. He orchestrated grand gestures of charity, further cementing his public persona as a benevolent mob boss. But even the most powerful of empires can fall. Capone's downfall came not from his violent crimes, but from his financial ones. It's a twist of irony that the man who had managed to dodge bullets and law enforcement alike would find himself ensnared by the very thing he had accumulated in abundance: wealth. Capone's trouble with the law began in earnest in the early 1930s. Despite his notoriety for violence and organized crime, it was his failure to pay income tax that would ultimately lead to his downfall. A man who had made an art form out of hiding in the shadows now found himself in the spotlight, facing a formidable adversary, the Internal Revenue Service. In October of 1931, after a highly publicized trial, Capone was convicted on 5 counts of tax evasion and failure to file tax returns. The verdict sent shockwaves through the criminal underworld and the public alike. Here was Al Capone, the untouchable mob boss, brought down not by rival gangs or law enforcement stings, but by his own financial hubris. The sentence handed down was a heavy one. 11 years in federal prison, the longest sentence handed down for tax evasion at that time. Capone was initially sent to Atlanta U.S. Penitentiary, but due to concerns about his influence over other inmates, he was eventually transferred to the infamous Alcatraz. In the confines of Alcatraz, the man who had once been feared and revered found himself stripped of power. His health deteriorated rapidly, his mind ravaged by the late stages of syphilis, a disease he had contracted in his youth. The once powerful mob boss was reduced to a shell of his former self, his reign of terror brought to a bitter end by the very system he had spent his life trying to manipulate. Capone's reign had come to an end, but his legacy was far from over. The story of Al Capone serves as a stark reminder that no one is above the law, not even the most notorious mob boss in American history. Prison life took a toll on Capone both physically and mentally. After serving 8 years of his 11-year sentence, Capone, the once formidable gangster, was released from prison. His health had drastically deteriorated due to late-stage syphilis, a disease he'd contracted in his youth but had gone untreated. His mind, once sharp and cunning, was now akin to a 12-year-old's due to the damage caused by the disease. His days of ruling Chicago's underworld were long gone. He retreated to his mansion in Palm Island, Florida, leading a quiet, uneventful life. On the 25th of January 1947, Al Capone breathed his last, a far cry from the flamboyant, feared mob boss he once was. His life had taken a full circle, from rags to riches to prison and finally to an inconspicuous end. Capone may have been out of power, but his impact on American history was indelible. Al Capone's legacy is a complex one, marked by brutality, cunning, and a certain mystique. His life story has been told and retold, dissected and analyzed, and yet the man remains an enigma, a symbol of the dark allure of crime and power. Capone's influence was not limited to his lifetime. In fact, his impact reverberates to this day, particularly in the realm of organized crime. His strategic acumen, his ability to manipulate the system, and his sheer audacity set a precedent that many aspiring mobsters sought to emulate. Capone's empire, built on the twin pillars of fear and respect, became a blueprint for future criminal organizations. But Capone's legacy isn't confined to the shadowy underworld. His life has permeated popular culture, inspiring countless books, films, and television series. From the charismatic gangster characters in movies to the thrilling plotlines in novels, traces of Capone's influence can be found. His story, a potent cocktail of ambition, ruthlessness, and downfall, has proven irresistible to storytellers and audiences alike. Additionally, Capone's life has prompted a deeper examination of societal structures and systems. His rise to power during the Prohibition era, his manipulation of political and law enforcement figures, and his eventual downfall due to tax evasion all highlight the flaws and loopholes in the system. His life serves as a stark reminder of the need for integrity and accountability in all sectors of society. In the end, Al Capone's legacy is a study in contrasts. He was a brutal mobster and a loving family man, a ruthless killer and a generous benefactor, a feared figure and a popular icon. These contradictions make him a fascinating figure, a man who, despite his many crimes, continues to captivate the public imagination. Whether admired or despised, Al Capone's name is one that won't soon be forgotten. His story, steeped in infamy and intrigue, will continue to resonate, shedding light on the darker corners of human ambition and the complex interplay between power, crime, and society.